Second.
All right. Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? I'll call on Bill now and give the treasurer's report.
Okay, directed to page 5. Summary through the end of last month, end of September. We've got our funding in order from everybody, with the exception of Watertown, and they usually pay us in the last month, which is fine. But everybody else on a quarterly basis, pretty much, but Mount Juliet and Lebanon both fully funded us, counties on the quarterly part. Don't have any exception or note on any budget item. Page 17 will show you where we are on sales tax collections. And of course, they run, the mayors will tell you they run a month behind. But if you look there at the month of September, we're up $300,000 over where we were this time last year for the month of September, which is a pretty significant increase. That's all I've got to report.
All right. Not have any further questions? What's the pleasure of the board on the financial report?
Move to accept. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Our program this morning is going to be GC. He's going to tell us about the pilot program, and I'm going to get on my soapbox just a little bit, and I won't steal much of his thunder. One of the largest things that Lebanon has going for it in Wilson County, the whole county, is its location. We've got a lot of competition in neighboring counties, such as the municipalities owning the land and able to negotiate, kind of control what comes in, and vice versa. We don't have that. We need it, but we don't have it. One of the things we do have is a pilot program that GC is going to tell us about this morning. And it's very important. And I think one of the best selling tools that we have. So GC, prove me right.
Thank you. It's amazing how many times I say that, and it's good that somebody listens, so I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. First, I apologize for the last quarterly meeting presentation. I did a very good job on our website, and we got to go down to Mount Juliet that day and do a better job. But I still encourage you to look at that. There's a lot of tools. Tammy put a lot of work into that, and it's just one of those things. Sometimes you can go 0 for 4 at the plate, and I'll take that responsibility. But it's a good program. I don't think I did a good job on it. What I want to do today is just talk about the pilot program, payment in lieu of tax. It's something that in 2006 we began, because it's something that we have to look at every day. I want to, sort of dispel some of the mystery about it, maybe some of the untruths. We had an opportunity to go to the budget committee of Wilson County the other day and do that. Hopefully some of that information got to it. And today's program, I just wanted to sort of be a discussion. Why do we do it? What goes into it? What's our competition? How do we address these things? But it was, even in 2006 when we got here, it was something that was becoming part of economic development. Now, we may disagree that it should be part of it, but I can guarantee you that it is part of it. So in 2006, when we got here, how do we do it? Because it's part of the program. We came up with a program that looked initially at only personal property equipment to sort of get our feet wet in the program. To help companies, and Royce can probably tell us this, at a time when companies expending their money, what can we do on the front end in the shortest period of time to affect the project? So that's what we started with. We've done a pretty good job taking a look at it, and we'll go through where we are. City of Lebanon has participated in this program before on certain projects, and they've abated their city taxes. Lebanon has recently, on the Under Armour project, went to the development board and put $200,000 of money that they had in that account towards infrastructure. So it's sort of a combined project of what you put on the table at the very front end. And I appreciate those cities and development boards doing that. You know, incentives have been, are, and will always be part of economic development. It's just where we are today. And if you're on the other side of the table saying, here's my costs, I've got to reduce my costs as much as I can, and the front end cost is really important in my decision. And so it's not if you're gonna do it, it's how you're gonna do it. If you make it a decision, if that's what you're gonna be a part of, and if you made that decision to be competitive, how do you take an approach at it? So in the month, the last 3 quarters, here's 3 projects we got on a request for information. You know, most of our projects start at that point, either from the state, or Wolfgang, TVA, the location consultants, or whatever. But what I did was just pull out 3 paragraphs of each RFP that says, I need some description on what you're doing. And Charlie certainly sees these all the time from both sides. It is part of it. We can reduce it. I mean, Project Bravo, last sentence, assistance for site and infrastructure development costs, 3-year reduced land costs, additional incentive programs at the state, regional, local levels. So when we get this every day, how do we address it? Well, we can't address it by saying, well, we can go to the county commission and they meet every 30 days and we can put a proposal together for you at that time. That doesn't do it. You have to be able to respond some way. So we have our typical, you know, first pass, here's our program based upon these things. We think this is what our participation would be. The second RFI, that's sort of what we get on the first one. The second request, if you get shortlisted, is I need a real number. I need a real number if I'm making $10 million investment in real property and $30 million of equipment. I understand your program, but I need a number because now I'm looking at what your costs are compared to what the costs are in another county, in Middle Tennessee or another state. So the question was, and always has been, how do we address it? We just sort of pull something out of the air. I'm sure some people think that's what we do. You guys over there just come up with a number and you sort of, the highest bidder wins. Well, that's not the way to do the project, not the way to do the program. But we have to respond, because every one of these says you must respond with either your initial response, or you gotta respond with a dollar amount, close of business day, October 30th, 2014. And that's what's on the paper, and that's what you have to live with. So how do we do it? We take a project and we look at 5 factors, and I'll sort of go over some of the things on the Under Armour project that we just did. But we look at it, we go to a consulting company and do an analysis that costs us $400. But we don't do that every time. What we do is sit down and sort of look at our numbers, and we think that's what it can be. But before we ever take anything for approval, we run an economic analysis on the project. The benefit cost ratio. If I give up this amount of money, how many years does it take for this project to pay back? The number of full-time jobs. We don't consider part-time jobs or part-time equivalent. As in the Federal Express project, 290 part-time employees. You could go back and say that equals 145 full-time, or whatever half of 290 is. But we don't do that. We consider full-time jobs. We consider full-time wages and benefits. So we don't get into the part-time business. Average wages of the project. That's sort of a number, as in Under Armour, $13.65. But I can tell you the senior management teams are anywhere from $100,000 to $250,000 site managers. So that sort of skews the numbers, but it's something we put into the formula. And what's the capital investment? How much money is in real property? How much money is in personal property? And then the only really subjective thing in this whole analysis is it the type of industry or the type of company that you want? And we have about a year leeway in there that you can sort of adjust. Where's the location of the project? But basically, is that the type of company that you want in your community? And we'll go over the list that goes over that. Total points equals total number of years. A real low payback, which is good, has, more points associated with it. The more investment you make, the more numbers you get on it. So the value of the project is sort of judged, and you come up with a number somewhere between 1 and 7 years. And we can talk about other communities, what they do, but I can tell you that we probably have the least number of years of anybody that I know of across the state. Again, talking to our companies and being in the business a while, how can you affect this project? Well, I need you to affect my bottom line as soon as you can. So we do 100% abatement on real property. And we maintain the personal property at 10% the first year. Works out to about 85%, 5, 6, or 7 year type abatement. We're right on the front end as much as we can, and then we're trying to get the money on the tax roll as quickly as we can. You can abate 50% of the project and have a 15 or 20 year abatement. You have a maximum term of 20 years set by the state legislature. So we try to do it so we can affect the bottom line on the front end as quickly as we can. How does it get approved? We go to the executive committee of the JCDB, talk about the project, and make the presentation. They consider it, and we'll send it to the Wilson County Budget Committee. The Wilson County Budget Committee has to approve it, and then the final stage is for the bond board of Wilson County to accept it and to approve the final agreement. That's the final phase of this whole process. By the board having the ownership of that property, you have the authority to establish a payment in lieu of tax, a payment less than the full amount. So that's how we do it. We designed the program, or I designed it, and we're talking to a lot of folks, to have the people that are giving up the future taxes to have a role in the program. So we go to the budget committee and we, say, here's a good project. It meets the qualifications of the program. We think you should approve it. I always thought somebody giving up the abatement should have the authority to sort of look over and judge the program as it's done. In actuality, you don't have to do that. Our competition goes to the development boards, and if they meet a certain guideline, as in Rutherford County, if it's a benefit cost ratio of 1 to 3, or if it's a payback in 2 years, the industrial board and the Chamber of Commerce negotiates what that is, and the board just accepts the property. I always thought ours was better up until recently, and I think our legislative folks, and we'll talk about that, but I always thought the people giving up the money should have a say in the program, but in actuality, we don't have to. Next slide, please. Program status. Since 2006, we have now approved 13 pilots. That's about 2 a year. Only 7 of those, 2 have been for existing Wilson County industries. Georgia Pacific, when they made a large investment in equipment. L&W Engineering, another $4 or $5 million investment in equipment. Those are 2 existing industries. 7 of the 13 projects have actually gone through the entire process. So when you talk about you've given up taxes on 13 projects, actually only 7 of these have gone through the process. Now we anticipate other ones doing it, but if you're going to build a building, it doesn't go on the tax roll for a year or so, and so there's some timing issues there. There are times, and we can pull up the next one, Tammy. There are times that, and these are the 13 that's been approved. You can see there are times when a company goes through the process, somebody buys the ownership of the property and says, oh, wait a minute, California Teachers Association, go through the whole approval process, have the papers done, ready to close on it, and they go, nah, we don't want that, which is fine. That building goes on the tax roll with the full amount. Starbucks, the personal property will probably go on the taxes. They change. And that's okay. We approve it up to a maximum amount. As in the Under Armour, we've approved up to 123 million. Now, we're hearing now that that'll be 100 to 105 or 110 million dollar investment. So if they only spend 110 million dollars on the project, our abatement total goes down. The term remains the same. But in certain cases, what we've approved doesn't go through the whole process. They just decide there's some costs associated with our bond, there's costs associated with, the board, there's costs associated with their attorney getting all the documents compiled, and they go, yes, I'm saving $400,000, if I'm spending $100,000, we built it into the lease, we're okay. That's all right, because if we didn't go through this process with them, I can assure you that when they was looking at their numbers, $400,000 at that point really entered into their program, really entered into their decision. So it gave us an opportunity to say, a business-like approach to it that said, this is what you're gonna get if you do the project. So where are we? You know, we've approved 13, 7's gone through the process. I think that other page, what the numbers on, no, we're gonna see it next. But 2,886 full-time jobs affected on those 13 projects. 1,700 and 50 part-time employees. That doesn't include the Amazon 1,800 employees that they're hiring right now to do the Christmas push. That's done 4 job fairs, that would do 2 more job fairs in this area. It doesn't include the part-time folks that Levington or Starbucks or other folks. These are the part-time jobs on the front end that they said they operate on a regular basis. Does not include that. It's estimated that these 2,886 full-time jobs, about $71 million of wages into the community. Now that's during their term. TGS, the seeding company, had a 5-year abatement. You know, they're run through that process. They've hired their 160 people. We put that money into the Middle Tennessee community, and now they're paying all their taxes. But these projects have generated about $71 million. You know, big numbers, $200 million in personal property, $238 million in real property. Now, the personal property will depreciate during most of the terms of these pilots, but you're gonna have $238 million of hard, real property taxes put on the road that you may or may not have had if you didn't have this program. Can I tell you that we're giving up pilots for companies that may be here or may not? No, I can't tell you that. But I can tell you when they sit across the table, they say, I need to know what your numbers are. I need to know what your numbers are. Out of those projects, about $13 million in personal property, in real property abatement, about $4 million in personal property. That's assuming all 13 of these things go through the process. And that's just what we based our program on today. Next page. So what I want you to do is sort of look at the list and tell me which one's a bad project. If you have family or friends or neighbors that work at these places, it's because this program worked and because the county commission and city elected officials have done these projects. We're using conservative numbers. Amazon projected 350 full-time jobs when they came in here. We based our abatement on it. There are about 600 employees now full-time. So we don't go back and recalculate what has happened in the 3 years that they've been here. We don't calculate the 1,800 part-time jobs. We just base it on what we did at day one when they came in here and we did our analysis. So that's sort of the numbers and who they are. There's been some discussion or thoughts by county commissioners and some other folks that says we're not doing all we're doing is giving up taxes. I'm gonna tell you what happened with the Under Armour project. The Under Armour project, about 100 acres, zoned agricultural, or greenfield, or green belt. If you did nothing on that 100 acres down there for the next 7 years, they pay about $21,000 in taxes. When the Under Armour comes, they'll pay about $300,000 in personal property taxes. That's a plus of the program already. That doesn't count how much money that project put into the economy. And I'll give you some numbers on Under Armour. We keep hearing 1,500 employees. We based ours on the initial project request for proposal of 993 employees. 993 employees, 90% of those having to be Under Armour employees, not the contractor. $209 million of wages for these 993 employees. You can use a multiplier for every job generated. You're gonna have somebody in the dry cleaning business, or somebody in the gas station, or somebody's gonna be selling real estate, homes, or whatever. So part of this analysis says if you got 993 jobs out there, you're gonna generate another 1,700 jobs of support. If you do that, you can add another $183 million in wages. So let's just take a look at 993 employees, Under Armour employees, the ripple effect, about $392 million of wages into the community. Now you can say, hey GC, another complaint of the program, you're giving up tax dollars, but not everybody of these companies are from Wilson County. And that's correct. And Tammy and I, we are doing a new wage and benefit survey, but you can consider about 70% of our jobs are Wilson County employees. Boys, I don't know what your numbers are, but so about 30% of these folks are out of town. But what do? They buy gas, they buy cigarettes, they go shopping at our Walmarts and every place else, and then they leave town. They don't put their children into the school system. They don't impact the healthcare industry here. So I think that's a good thing, employment opportunities, which is why our unemployment is 5% in September, third lowest in the state. And we're consistently been that. A year ago it was 6.3%, today it's 5. Now, 4.6, 4.8, 5.1, 5.3 in all the Middle Tennessee counties. Third place is right where we need to be. If we're fifth place, we're probably a couple hundred employees away from it. So we're just very fortunate, as the chairman said, being in Middle Tennessee, but those places are our competition. Wilson County is competing with Sumner, with Trousdale, and with Rutherford. And so, how do you do it? Under Armour project, somewhere about $390 million of wages, if you accept the economic factors. Local sales tax revenue, about $4.5 million is projected. Our abatement was $6.1 million over a 7-year period. $4.5 million in local taxes, residential commercial property tax, $7 million. We project that project brings about $13 million into the economy. Is that a good deal? You guys are on the real business side. I think it is, and it's a way that we looked at it. And not every project that comes through here gets a pilot. We take a look at it, we run the numbers and say, you qualify for 3 years, but here's the cost of it. You can certainly go through the process. Hollister did. Spent a lot of money on their part with a lot of attorneys and got very little return from it. But I can tell you on the front end, watch your numbers. And Mr. Rochelle and I was on a conference call yesterday with the Joan Lang LaSalle group, which has the real estate arm that did the Under Armour project. Then they have the taxing arm and the incentive. And those two ladies were saying, I dealt with them a long time. What's your numbers? Why it cannot be more? Well, it can't be more because we're restricted in our program. 7 years is it. Now, if we have a major project, if you have a tire company or something like that, or, Remington that we work with, certainly you have the opportunity to go to the full county commission and to the cities and say, here's the project, here's the analysis. We think it's gotta be 10 years, or 15 years, or 20 years, because that's what our competition is doing, that's what the numbers are. So, other program benefits. Did I miss something here? $238 million goes on the tax roll somewhere between 4 to 7 years as those projects come online. Sure, their equipment's depreciated and the amount they pay on depreciated equipment goes down, but we're putting that back in. Distribution fulfillment centers. If you want a job between now and December, you have every opportunity to have a part-time job. Rob, you talked about your daughter doing that last year at Amazon, being a tow motor operator. If you need a job, you can find one part-time and full-time in this community. And hopefully, with what we've done here recently, we'll continue to do so. We always talk about rooftops and what comes first, rooftops or jobs? And I don't know that I can answer that. That's more in Tammy's area. How many apartments have we built in the western part of this county in the last 3 years? Rob, you've been involved in.
Built.
Mark?
Built,
Built, on the table, coming on, out of the ground.
about 1,200 units.
1,200 units. Where do those folks work? Where do those folks spend their money? Where do they have those opportunities? Rooftops means more retail. Retail means more sales tax. And as Phil said, take a number of $300,000 in increased sales tax in September. What happened there? A lot of folks in our community. So it does allow us to generate more retail office. These projects, these 13 projects have generated over $4 million in infrastructure grants from the state of Tennessee, economic development, and also Department of Transportation. $6.7 million direct grant to Under Armour that that they got it from themselves, but $4 million in sewer, water projects, that investments that the state's made in its communities. Yes, we gave up some future taxes. We've also got a lot of infrastructure back. Mary, you know what we're doing at Under Armour with the extension of the road. We built roads down in the county at the Nashville East Logistics Center. So we've got money in the ground because of these projects that the city doesn't have to totally provide. There's a couple of things that you don't consider. When Starbucks built their building, their 700,000 square foot building, there was 150 acres or so over there that was in the green belt. And all that property now is being taxed as industrial property. So greenfield to industrial property. Same thing at the Under Armour. There's all that property has been rezoned, and so the county and cities getting a higher revenue from those properties. There's some an unknown here. I don't know what it is, but it's estimated because of this change in the sales tax. Sometime next year, Mayor and the county, we're going to see some type of revenue being generated from the Amazon from the sales tax. If you buy your product from Amazon and it's shipped to you in Tennessee, there's going to be, and it's estimated about $7 million of sales tax that's going to be distributed to the counties and the state. I don't know what that number is, and we'll see what that number is in the future. When Georgia Pacific came to us, they said, here's our project. We got $4 million of investment. We can put it here, or we can put it in 2 or 3 other locations. So what can you help us do? What can you do to help us get this project, to win this project? We worked with them, and they pretty much said, if we don't get the new equipment, we're gonna lose 60 jobs. So it's just not recruitment of new jobs, it's helping your existing industries, it's also helping retain jobs. couple of weeks ago, the city received an award from the Toshiba Building, best reuse of a facility. Mayor received that. We did a pilot for somebody that came in and bought the property and have put hundreds of thousands of dollars into it. You have drive time there, you have a metal coatings business there, and we have an opportunity for about 300,000 square feet of manufacturing space. So we use this pilot to renovate a building, to have an opportunity for somebody to come in and make more private investment into it. That's sort of where we are. If we can't respond, we can't compete. And the program was designed to allow us to say, if you do all these things, we're gonna look at you, are you a good company? We're gonna look at the numbers to see what we get back from this project, and we're gonna say it's a good deal or not. Tammy, if you go back to that list of folks, a list of companies, I don't think there's a bad company there. We haven't had the experience of somebody going out of business yet, but that's part of business. And we're helping our existing industries, and we're impacting the community. Are there, do you give up future revenue that you may have gotten, or you may not? A lot of these companies will not be here if they were not able to pull their numbers into it and say, it makes sense for us to be here. And as Mr. Chairman said, we take the Loretta project. We was in that project for quite a while. We was at the Cherry Farm at $50,000 an acre, private property. So that's a $5 million investment on 100 acres. They decided to go to Gallatin because the property was free and the abatement was about the same. So we're $5 million in the hole to start. If we get to the point that says you're $5 million in the hole to start and we can't respond with a competitive number, we're pretty much out of business in the industrial side. The other part is, in the future, how do we recruit white collar, professional jobs? That's all part of the developer's numbers. If I bring a company with 250 people in, how can you help me do that? And the only way we can do that right now is through a partnership with their, trying to affect the bottom line. So, Mr. Chairman, that's sort of a summary. If you have questions about it, I encourage you to, think about it. If you have any influence with some folks at the county commission, we may need you sometime. And if you have things that we need to be doing or changes in the program. But out of the 13 projects, about 7 of them have been in manufacturing and 6 of them in distribution. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, say most of them are industrial and jobs like that. But what if, do we need to change our pilot program here locally so that we could go after some of those other unique opportunities like some kind of a water park or something that does a lot of tourism and hit that way, retail, but not more than just like a hotel for their one building, but it has such a major effect that it would qualify.
And I'd
is
leave
state
that up
law
to the,
restrain us, or is it our pilot that not include that?
In most instances, it's gonna be the state law that determines what's an eligible project to be owned by a development board. And, state law veers away from retail. And so you got to, what they've gotta do is they gotta find nationally recognized bond counsel that will give them an opinion that, the project is an eligible project under Tennessee law. And their bank's gonna want that too. And, that's the way they find out whether or not they're eligible.
Realize like a hotel or a restaurant or a shopping center, retail, those, not in that category. It's something that makes such a major impact to your county, your region, that, we do it for here, but the numbers for something of that nature would far exceed a lot of these that we have on this pilot. And that's what I'm wanting to know, is that if the, is there something that this board and group that we need to improve or make an addition to here, or is that all pretty well stated?
It's gonna be pretty much all state law.
All stated?
I mean, and you can look at TIF zones, tax incremental financing for retail and some other things that we don't get into. You know, some communities though, for the commercial part of it, are looking at that. I guess in summary, I think the program works. It certainly allows us to take a look at it in a business approach. And so when you hear you're just giving away dollars, think about the wages, think about the total revenue generated from the projects, and think how much money's going into the banks, mortgages, and those things. And that's what we try to take a look at and come up with what a fair deal is. And I wish we didn't have to do it, but, you know, since 1982, when Nissan came and that all started, that sort of opened up all the dates, the floodgates. And I guarantee you, it's not the first discussion that happens that somebody doesn't say, but what, if you explain what TVA provides, if it's financing for a project in Watertown, or if it's reduced electric rates that other utilities are having to do, or if it's any of the training programs that Wolfgang is involved in, you know, you have to go through that. And that's, you talk about the project, but then eventually it just gets to how you're gonna affect my bottom line.
All right, thank you, GC, and, this stuff works. And one of the important things is, when the 7 years is up, they start paying the full amount. We get it all. Back when I was a mere lad, Lebanon made the decision to abate some charges to TRW. Bob and I remember it as wrong. And I don't think anybody can question the benefit that that's been to this community, because those leaders had the visionary to do that. And I'd encourage our present leaders to do the same thing. All right, DC, you're still on deck?
Okay, I'll try to make this,
Could I ask you to do one thing?
Yes,
Look,
sir.
Sitting back here, with limited vision, it might be good to make a copy of this and email it to the members, and make sure that our mayors and such have copies of it available to, when they go to talk to council members or the county commissioners and such.
okay. Okay, we're going through, you know, the last 3 months' activities that's on page really 6, 9, and 12, and all I want to do is just sort of go over some of the highlights, solutions on our activity. But, you know, outside of responding to, I think in this 3/4, 25 formal proposals, I think Tammy did 15 or 18 different retail packages during this time. What do we do on, you know, to fill in those blanks of time? We did do the newsletter. We spent a lot of time on those 2 projects over the last 3 months, Project Fast Break, Under Armour, and Project Conviction, Bell Express. Wolfgang was there a lot, Key was there a lot, certainly Caleb representing Conviction. Those things go on, and there's a lot of negotiation going on with TDOTs, with ECD, who administered grants, and what our pilot started. So a lot of activity was on that. We also, Tammy worked in the retail area. She attended the ICSC event in Nashville. We did present the pilot proposals to the budget committee in that summer. We are on the threshold of doing our new wage and survey. Should have been out, we think maybe yesterday, but it's gonna be out this week, I'm sure. We hadn't done one in 2 years, but what's your benefit package? What's your average wages? And that's the other part on the front end. They just don't ask about incentives, they want to know what your local wages are. And we share that with the consultants, and we share it with the industries that participate. We had a little issue with Lochinvar and their expansion, project, trying to get dirt moved. Mayor Craig is involved in that, Department of Environment, TDEC, Tennessee Park Environment and Conservation. We worked through that. And we're also, one of the things that we did and the executive committee approved, we're working on a LEAP program. And that is a program that's gonna be driven by some local industries. Royce has agreed to work with us. We're gonna make a grant under the governor's LEAP program with Sumner, Wilson, Trousdale County. Charlie's working on that with us. Hopefully we get some money to work with getting people into the technology center and into some school things. Projects either announced or were significantly completed during this period of time. Wilson County Tire and Regrading in Lebanon, Techno Tile, about 29 employees, Tile Company in Lebanon, Under Armour, Federal Express in Mount Juliet. We have Project Radio that Mike is working with in Watertown that we're real close to. And some other projects that we're working with. Mike Howell has an expansion project. Lochinvar is moving dirt at their place. B&G Foods, at least 400,000 square feet out on Park 840, where Neutro is, right before you get to Amazon. So we leased another 400,000 square feet there. You know, if you take a look at those 9 projects, you know, they just don't fall out of the sky, and they sort of come in seasons. But that's a pretty good 3 quarters, 3 months that we've had during that period. In our projects, I don't want to go through the projects, I want to talk about some trends. Well, as I said, we did 25 new ones in the last 3 months. Rail served projects, Mariner, that we're going to visit today, but there was a tire manufacturer. State struggles to find rail served property. We had a meeting over the last 30 days about trying to find rail property. The state's in desperate need of another hand-cooked tire project is floating around there, 250 acres. We need access to the Botts Farm. We want to affect how we're gonna do our projects in this county, its property and its development. We're in a great place, we've got great transportation, but we need Central Pike interchange built for white collar development. We need a road, Botts Farm, yeah. We need some other projects. 6 of those 25 projects required rail. And we can tell you how many numbers of employees and investment, but there's a real need for rail served property in Tennessee. Automotive, of course, there's 5 of those projects just directly related to the automotive industry as it continues to grow. Isn't that good, Roy? And some other unique projects that we do work, we're still working with residential long-term care development. Not many people know, we don't toot our home horn too much, but you know, the full service hotel actually began in this office. And I just want to say that. Where's our numbers, where our tourism, and we did that. And we congratulate what's happening down there. But we do a lot of those numbers, and Tammy does a lot of that. We talked about the sales tax report. Unemployment rate's 5%, and I will only end with, if there's one negative thing that floated around here over the last 3 months is the confidentiality of projects. And I think it cost us on a pilot for the Federal Express project. The developer, you know, came out and said, yes, that's who I'm working with and all that, but there's other folks doing it. We've got to remain confidential on these projects. I sign confidentiality statements. I can be sued, JCDD can be sued, and so when, you know, I like Mr. Franklin, I can't remember, Budget Committee, Colonel Jerry Farley. When we took the project to him the other day, and he voted for it, I had called him the next day and said, I appreciate your support. He said, well, who was the project anyway? And I told him. He said, well, that's good, but it really doesn't make any difference to me. He said, if you come to us and say we're gonna work, I'm gonna support the program. And I like Mr. McFarland. And that's what we need. Mr. Chairman, that's pretty much it. I know we didn't do a lot on the projects, but I think there's some other things that we can spend our time on that's better.
All right, thank you very much. You talked about the investment of the lieu of taxes, but we've got a well profitable investment of the monies that the municipalities put into the JECD, and I think it's evident of these projects that we've got. So, thank you and your staff for a job well done.
Thank you, sir.
We'll move on to, anybody have any old business?
I asked May to give an update on the college of applied technology. May, if you don't.
Sure. Thank you for asking me to speak. Tennessee College of Applied Technology, as you all may know, we are operating, or trying to get operational over here at the Wilson County CTE. Thanks to the mayors, I reached out to you all for some help. You sent some help over through the jail department. They're helping a lot. We've been over there probably now for 2 weeks maybe. If you get a chance, I'm headed over there when I leave here. We're still in the midst of construction, taking up carpet, knocking down walls. We're gonna, I think, start painting today perhaps. We've gotta find some type of mechanism to get up the glue that's on the floor. That's been a ordeal, so we're working on that. But phase 1 of this project involves us getting operational in January. So in phase 1, we're gonna have an IT program, a nursing program, as well as a welding program. Now, in the midst of all that, I've been in the process of writing grants and stuff, so one big project I'm really excited about is that we're gonna bring an advanced manufacturing program here. It's gonna hopefully start in May. Within that, last week I visited Kentucky to an Amatrol facility, so we're gonna get a lot of Amatrol training equipment in here. I also have been on the phone with MSSC, which is the Manufacturing Skills Standards Council, on some national certifications. One of them is Certified Logistics Technician, Certified Production Technician, and Certified Logistics Associate. So some of those type of certifications we're gonna offer as well. The center over here is gonna be basically a three-stage process. We're gonna add programs as we can. We're gonna first get this entire bottom floor of the site operational, like I said, by January. Well, we're gonna have students in there January 5th, whichever, the first Monday in January is the 5th. Hope to have an open house probably late December, or maybe even the day of students starting that day, I'm not sure. But excited about it, things are moving slowly but surely. And again, thank you all for your help. Thank you all for your support and letting us get into the facility and get it operational. Also wanted to, I was speaking earlier about the Tennessee Promise and Achieve. Wilson County has a goal of 250 mentors for their graduating seniors. Well, right now it's at 114 that have signed up. We need at least 136 more for our graduating seniors. And they're our future, so, they need good people like us, or you all, to, mentor if you have time, so that we can make sure that our community continues to prosper as you all have done in your lives. So, thank you for letting me speak. And you mentioned, I don't know if you mentioned the LEAP grant with, but we're excited about that. That's gonna help get machinery into the Wilson County site. Again, the grants I'm writing myself will help to get machines and training equipment into the site. So we're excited. I think you're gonna be proud of what you see. I know you're gonna be proud of what you see, because I have staked everything I have on this project, and I'm gonna make it work or it's gonna kill me. So it's gonna be a showplace for Wilson County. So you all just get ready and just be supportive of us. Okay?
And part of the LEAP program is you have to have at least 3 counties working together. We've got that. We've got the Hartsville that May's gonna be the heart of it. The administrator made what we're trying to do. Nashville State Community College is gonna be sort of the financial arm where the money runs through. And Jimmy Johnson over at Sumner County, Forward Sumner, identical to what we have here at JCDB, is sort of the lead person. So that's what the state wanted to look at, people working together and you know, multiple functions trying to put a program together. And May has certainly got her hands full just getting that site up over there, but has also taken on this other responsibility, and I appreciate that.
I'm excited about it, and I think you all will be ecstatic once you see what we're doing.
All right, thank you, Matt. Any other old business? You wanna lead us on the new business?
I don't have one thing, and it's just sort of an announcement. The P16 Council announced its inaugural Business Empowering Students and Teachers Award. The award celebrates the accomplishments of community leaders, business owners, and entrepreneurs. It honors those with knowledge and skills that foster student success in pre-K through post-secondary education. P16 Council recognized Royce Slavin in Orchid for his work. He's done a tremendous amount of work in Rutherford County, and at that, he's agreed to do some things with us. Maybe we're gonna be working a lot together with him, and I appreciate Royce's commitment to what we're gonna be doing in education in the future.
Good, good. What we need to do? We need to vote on the Watertown sign, or?
We need to, y'all need to approve that this fall.
Charlie?
Yes, it'd be, if we get this.
All right, you wanna tell us a little bit about it? Mike?
Yeah, it's our application for some funding. We understand the local for Lake for certain eligible projects. We've got a new addition to our industrial park, and we've got some very old signs, and we think it's time to spruce up and recognize the folks that are there and the folks that are about to be there. So, this will be an opportunity for us to take a step forward in Eastern Hannah County. Won't be 1,000 jobs, but, 25, 30 jobs. We'll get the other 970.
What Mike needs from us in order to apply for the grant is approval of this body. So, what is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? All right. Anything else?
We're having, the Veterans Park dedication is gonna be this Thursday at 4:30 beside the courthouse. Invite all of you to come out and be a part of the dedication.
All right. If there's nothing further, then appreciate all y'all being here. We'll be adjourned.
Thank you.